9 minutes late. That's not bad. Am I all alone? Radio check. Radio check. All right, let's see who's here. This is so complicated, man. This was way out of my technical league here. This happened last time. All right, well, I'm just going to talk to nobody. Hey, this is my, sometimes you guys can hear me, and even though it says 0 viewers. Wow. You know what? Let me turn this light off. It's too much of a reflection. Well, that doesn't work, does it? That's why I don't work in the movie industry. Okay, LMS Tactical here, and I need to fill some dead air here because we're live on the March 8th LMS Tactical Google Hangout. Now, I'd only done this one time before, and it was a cluster, as this one's starting to be, because there's a lot of technical shit I needed to remember that I didn't. Like I needed to invite people. Somebody told me that too, but I thought I was smarter. So what I've done is I've sent out some invites, and now I'm just standing by, and hopefully you guys can make your way on to this channel. Last time people weren't showing up for like 45 minutes because it was sort of a learning on the fly thing. And I'm going to assume that's the same thing. So I'm going to have to fill dead air, and there is nobody that does that better than me and my dog, Charlie. You guys would not believe what Charlie did today. Oh, I wish I had my iPad. I would show you. I'm going to put a video out. You got to see this. I took him, you know, as most of you know, that he had another surgery for cancer. So they removed it, and he's been on antibiotics, blah, blah, blah. Today was the first day in weeks that he was allowed to go swimming in the river. I'd let him jump in the river. He wasn't in there for more than 10 minutes before he tackled and caught a fish this big. And I have video evidence and still pictures to prove it. And he brought that fish up and he dropped it at my feet. Now, I know that my love for Charlie is probably unnatural. I get it. But even the most skeptical dog hater in the world has to admit, I see somebody's joined us. It's actually, you're joining me because we're all alone. But let me finish the punchline and then identify yourself. Nobody has a dog that goes out and catches fish. I'm the only guy in the world, so just thought I'd let that, you know, put that out there. All right, so who is the viewer? It says there's a viewer. Can you hear? Can you speak? Help me out, man, because I'm rambling. If you don't start talking, I'm gonna start telling Charlie stories again. Come on, Charlie. Charlie don't like me on Google Hangouts because he wants me to give him attention. Let me tilt this down so you can see. Can you see Charlie? Charlie, they can't see you. But he constantly wants me to pet him. So that's why I never get anything done. That's my full-time job, is petting him and scratching his chin. The one viewer just bugged out. Now, what an insult. He comes in, he sees me talking about Charlie, and he bails out. Oh, he's back again. Or it's somebody else. Listen, I am giving up my dinner to be here, and I expect some goddamn participation. Right, Charlie? I have to get aggressive with these people. They don't know who they're fucking with. Perhaps this will be a little bit of a motivator. That's right. LMS Tactical is never far from a weapon. Think about that. Oh, Charlie. Anybody there? Hello? Ground control to Major Tom? Ay, caramba. Híjole, pendejo, man. Orale, where are you guys at, eh? I keep seeing you popping up like a viewer essay, but you don't say nothing to me. What's your problema, eh? Hello? You're hurting my feelings, essay. Don't hurt my feelings. I'm a trained person. I can do a lot of damage if I get angry. You don't believe it? Ask me Pedro Charlie right here. He's right here. His name is Charlito. He's a good dog, huh? Come on. Charlie, I don't know where they're at. I don't know. They won't talk to me, Charlie. But you caught a fish today, so you're the real hero, huh? Yes, you are. What the heck is this? You got a skin tag on your nose. I'm taking you back to the factory. All right, here we are, LMS Tactical Studios broadcasting live, and we've got a total of one viewer who is unable to speak or unwilling to speak. You know, I'm just going to drink coffee and stare at the camera then, fuck it. That awkward moment when you know that LMS can see into your abode. Nice fucking home. Dude, did you buy all that shit yourself? That's awesome. Wow. Hello. Oh, maybe I need to unmute people. Fuck, that's right. I got a control panel here. Let me see what's going on here. Okay, control panel says chat. Well, maybe I'll do that. Okay, we got a chat box here. A group chat. Let me see if anybody can hear me. Radio check. Anybody that sees that, respond to it, and then I'll know that you're here. All right, and this is, no, we don't want to do that. Hey, viewer, if you can hear me, look over there and hit something on the chat thing. The fuck kind of English was that? Let me rephrase it. Excuse me, if you can hear me, can you send me a chat message? The Queen's English, that's right. I was raised in a small suburb of Yorkshire. I went to parochial school, finishing school, and then ultimately I graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. All right, so cameraman, I don't know what the fuck that is. Capture, screen capture, Q&A. Yeah, here's a question. Anybody there? What's the answer? All right, let me send another message out. Hello. Radio check. Oh man. Did I say that? Did I, on the last video, did I mention that I went through this weird night where I was up till 4:50 in the morning reading everything there is to read about Richie Valens? So now all his shit stuck in my head. I feel like I'm mentally ill. I'm talking to myself. All right, let's see here. All right, you guys want me to go technical on you? I'll go technical. Invite people. I don't know how to fucking do that. What the fuck is going on? Add names, or I don't know people's fucking email addresses. What are you oh, hey, maybe I can tweet this out. Yeah, press C to copy. Yeah, okay, so bam. Wait a minute. Let's see. Bam. All right, let me get this one. You're on camera, Dad. What's up?
Oh, you're not on?
I am on. You're live and being recorded.
Oh, no, I just sent you that guy's email and everything.
Oh, no, but this is going to be for the whole world to see.
I know you're on your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt.
But you are. I mean, I'm recording. I'm so sorry, people. What? No. Is this important? I'm sorry. No, I mean, but I'm on the middle of a live.
I know.
My father's old. I'm sorry, people. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it looks like a Christmas card. Okay, back to the broadcast. That was freaky. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and tweet this out. And you guys just forget what you saw. It didn't happen. You guys are all under mass hypnosis. Okay, hang on a second. All right, hang on. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I mean, was I rude to my dad? I mean, it's like, Dad, I'm broadcasting like, yeah, I know, but I'd like to talk to you about a dentist appointment next Friday. It's pretty fucking important. So screw you and your little LMS bullshit. All right. Love you, Dad. All right. Let me get my Twitter going. I'm going to tweet this out and then see what happens on that. Hello, Twitter. Okay, hang on a second. Where are we going? Here we go. Come join me at an open conversation Google Hangout happening now. And there it goes. Okay. I'll give you guys a little bit of time to let me read my Christmas card. He's cute. I love him. He's my papa. All right. So what is this red phone? Leave a call? Man, I really need to study this stuff. About bandwidth, turn camera off, mute microphone, invite people. It's my party and I'm all alone. Hello? Is anybody out there to talk to me? I'm a lonely guy. They call me Jorge Tactical. I am LMS's uncle. Sometimes he calls me Tio. As long as I see nobody, I'm going to talk to myself because I don't like the quiet. It reminds me of the time the Europeans came and fucked up all of our shit. They gave us blankets with smallpox. Two viewers. Who are you guys? Say something. Hello. Hey, viewers, if you can hear me and you're not set up for Google Hangout, you still might be able to chat, right? I mean, do you see a chat box? No? I'm just pretending like I know what I'm doing. It's fun. Yeah, just go ahead and tweak the amperage there a little bit, and let me bust up a couple of ohms, and we're dialed in. Looking good. I don't know jack shit about this. Yeah, it's funny. I know 48 ways to kill a man from 15 feet away, but I can't get this goddamn hangout to work. I'm telling you. Ain't that something? All righty, okay, let's see. Present to everyone. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a big word you're using. All right, I'll send out another tweet just to kill the time. Erasers. It's a little interest. Holy crap, what have I done? Everything's changed. Oh. What happened? My hangout. What the heck? Why does it say this is a past hangout? Holy shit. What happened? Oh gosh. No. Okay, I'm going to delete the event. delete the event. Okay. What's the date? Today is March 8th. 7:30. Let's try 7:30. Okay. Hey.
Hey, Mike.
How you doing, man?
Good. Finally was able to join. I've been sitting and watching the broadcast for about, I don't know, 10 minutes. That was that one guy sitting in there not saying anything.
No, this happened this is exactly how it went last time. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it was like 45 minutes or more where it was just me thinking I was talking to myself.
I was there.
Oh, okay. Wait, what's your name again?
Ronald Nolan.
Ron. Okay, that's right. That's right. And I've been tweeting this out, and then I thought it kind of shut off because I thought it had I didn't put a duration on it. So it's weird. Every now and again, the screen goes blank, and it says you're already in a hangout, and I have to go back and find it.
Right. I got you. I tried sending you a couple of emails, like, Mike, I can't get in. I can't see the type to you.
That's a good idea to check because that happened last time too, as you recall, and I wasn't checking my emails.
Right, and I just followed your Twitter, by the way, with my old Twitter account. So.
Oh, excellent. Let me. I'm going to jump on my email here real quick and see if other people are doing the same thing.
Probably got about 4 or 5 emails for me.
Okay, that's cool.
I was sitting here struggling. It's like, oh God, I hope he doesn't shut it down. I hope he doesn't shut it down.
No, I'll bet you there's other people doing the same thing. Okay, right. It's not really, it's probably not too complicated, but we don't do it enough, so it's all new.
Yeah, it's not second nature yet.
Oh, you know what though? That's right. The email address that's associated with that is an email address that I never check.
Oh, okay.
It's really weird. I actually, you just reminded me, man, that there's some other people that have asked questions in the past, and I swore I'd get to them, and then I forget all about it. I need to hook it up with my regular email.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm going back. What was it? What was the email? Was it Falling Awake or something?
No, it was your LMS tactical email that was linked to your YouTube.
Okay, yeah. That's another one that I don't check. I need to start checking that. Here we go. LMS Tactical at Gmail.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Okay, yeah, there's your emails.
Yep.
And okay, cool. Well, at least I'm logged on to that. All right, now I'm trying to remember. It says there's 2 viewers, so there's somebody else that's probably having a hard time figuring it out too.
Yeah, I'm guessing so.
Was it easy to get into it though, or what was the hang up?
The hang up was I went to your Google Hangout page and I clicked on the event, but it was just to be able to watch it. And then I decided, well, I'm not able to get in. So I'm kind of sitting here struggling, trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to get in contact with you any way I can. I'm thinking, don't shut it down, don't shut it down. Got on Twitter, and I realized, hey, what if I try clicking the link he put up, and then bing, bang, boom, I'm in.
Okay, cool. Now I need to find that link again because I'm going to tweet that out again.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I will make sure I like it as well, so maybe it'll pop up more. Okay, I did like that already. All right. I'll even
All
tweet
right,
it.
going back onto Twitter. Here it is. Yeah, I'm trying to like even get some new people. I'm like, let's talk about racism. I'll do anything to like try and grab somebody's attention.
Right, I hear you.
Let's see here. Giving away free money. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see.
Would be nice.
Way. Okay. Pin to your profile page. No. God damn it. How do I do this? Yeah, I'll press the wrong button and I'll end up having to. All right, well, there it goes. It happened again, man. I don't see nothing. It's like, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Yeah, see, this is what happened last time. When I go to Twitter, I end up, when I get off of it, I'm on some other freaking page that doesn't make much sense. Wow. Yeah, my whole Google Hangout thing's gone. It just says, it's almost like I invited myself, and if I say start, I'll come on as a guest. All right, let me figure it out. Anything goes. Okay, here we go. Oh, right here. Let's talk. Híjole, come on, man. Okay, Glock and G, that's not you, is it?
No.
Who's that? I wonder why they're showing up here. Interesting. Okay, hang on a second. Come on. All right, I got to get back over here to this whole thing. Well, so tell me, what's going on? Where are you at? If you know, I mean, like, what part of the world?
I now live in Indiana, originally from California, Long Beach, California.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's where my mom's at.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she lives in Long Beach.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I remember hearing you talk about that you were born out in LA area.
Yeah. I was born in Glendale, and I was raised in Inglewood and Hawthorne.
Yeah, I know the area.
Yeah. Drive through fast.
Yeah, you know shit, right?
Yeah, man. I wonder what it's like now, man.
You know, I haven't been there in 3 years.
God, man, that's about me too. It's been a while. You know, my kids are out there too. My 3 kids from my last marriage, they live in San Diego.
Okay, yeah, nice. I've been there a few times. San Diego's real nice.
Yeah, it is. It used to be kind of shitty many when I was younger, but it's really they've really cleaned it up.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, come on, man. How do I do this? God damn it. Why?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Sound familiar, man.
Can you guys see me?
Yeah,
I can't because I'm screwed up here. All right, let's see here. Test.
All right.
Test. Who we got? Who just came on? I'm totally off. I can't see the screen.
Glock and G just came on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what I saw there. All right,
cool. So yeah, I'm calling from Glendale, California.
Say again?
I'm calling from Glendale, or I'm actually living in Glendale.
No, that's really weird, man. Did you hear me just saying that's where I was born?
Yeah, I heard that.
That's weird. Oh, yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, 3 Californians in now.
Yeah, that's odd. Okay, started hanging out on the air. Okay, hang on. This is fucked, man. I'm sorry. I got to get back in there. It's like I hear it going on, but I can't see anything. Okay, let's see. Test. Now, 8th. And we're going to go 7:45. 7:45. Sure.
I'm sorry, Ron, what were you calling?
Ron?
Yo.
He was asking where you from?
Oh, originally from Long Beach, California, currently living in Indiana right now.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Yeah, lots of good stories about the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
I always like Mike's stories. They crack me up because I can relate to just about all of them.
Yeah, those are real funny.
Yeah. Now, do you work in Glendale, or do you work around in that area?
I work in Pasadena. I work at one of the hospitals over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm about 10 minutes away.
Oh, I'm back. I see you guys. Yay. My God, I've missed you, man.
Where you've been all my life.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, and I'll just be honest, I'm always hesitant to ask people personal questions because, you know, it's the internet, man, and I don't know I'm always overly cautious. So if I ask you something, just tell me, just say, hey, I'd rather not say. I mean, my natural inclination when I meet somebody is to be like, hey, what kind of work you do? Well, you know, I mean, if you're like an NSA fucking crew chief, you probably aren't going to say that.
Big Brother's watching.
Yeah, I'm Lieutenant Colonel fucking Van Cockerlift, and I'm with the NSA. I was assigned to watch you because you're getting a little out of control there, LMS.
It's like, don't worry, don't contact us, we'll contact you.
Yeah, I bet there's a fucking big screen at the Pentagon, and they're all watching going, God, this guy ain't no threat, he's fucking retarded. Man.
Oh, God.
Oh, hey, I got to ask you, Ron, were you there when my dad walked in?
Yes, I was. I was watching that.
I was there too. I saw that.
Oh, man. That was funny. It was awkward. I'm like, hey, we're kind of doing a live shoot here.
Right. You're like, oh, where'd you come from?
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm surprised we haven't seen, oh, God, what is her name? You know, the one that was on last time, Ron? That what Weaselet or Weaselet or whatever her name is, she's pretty good about these things. She likes these things.
I remember watching parts of the first one when you uploaded it to your channel. I think I know who you're talking about.
Hey, and this is really weird. I'm glad you said that. I mean, just for conversation's sake, they kind of I need to do a lot more of these because I need to get familiar with it intimately. But they upload themselves. I mean, the system uploaded that. I was really surprised to find that because I didn't do anything. When I turned it off, I had no idea that they uploaded it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's really weird. That's why I kind of gave that little warning. You know, about if don't say anything you don't want your boss to hear or whatever, because I don't know if I have any control over that, over like taking them back down again.
Right. I mean, you can, if you want to make the video private or you just want to get rid of it, that's possible to be done. I think it should be. Under your settings under your YouTube, you can check and say, I don't want this video, I don't want that video shown. You know, like say you did something that was copyrighted and they said, hey, take this down because you have something in the video, you can take it down. Because I used to have an old channel where I originally started watching you on, where I used to, you know, do videos myself, but I stopped doing them a long time ago.
Yeah. What was the name of your channel? And maybe I saw you.
The old channel was oh God, what was that? I mean, that's my primary channel. I just watch a bunch of stuff on because I have a whole bunch of favorites and subscriptions and stuff. So I usually just watch on there. I had a smoking channel up for a while, and I would throw up like martial arts stuff that I did as well. But I stopped doing it a while back. Just didn't seem to. This wasn't fun anymore, and I started getting a lot of hate comments. Things just started changing, and that was when Google Plus had just started coming into YouTube. So everything completely changed and just kind of lost touch with it all.
Yeah, you know, I almost bugged out of it a couple times because of those very same reasons, and then it was really weird. It took a shift, man. I mean, the way Google and YouTube works is a real interesting study for somebody like me, because I'm not like a technical guy, but I'm interested in the concepts of algorithms and the way things work and the way, what makes a video get popular.
Sure.
I have a dog channel. I have multiple YouTube channels, and none of them are as active as this one.
Right.
But I put a video of my dog up one time, years ago, and it was just it was probably one of my first videos I ever put on YouTube. That thing has over 1,000,005.5 views.
Wow.
But it sat dormant for like 2 years. It had like 120 views.
Yeah.
And that just freaking exploded, and it's just an interesting thing to see how that works, All of a sudden, something can become popular. This channel used to be filled with a bunch of haters, man, and I used to think, why am I, spinning my wheels? I can't choke these fuckers out, so why am I getting all red-faced about it?
Right.
And then it just turned into a bunch of cool people, man. All of a sudden, it just got really fucking cool, man, where I was like, this is actually fun, man. I honestly feel, not to get all corny and fucking hug the fucking monitor, but I feel like it's like a little family, man.
Right, it is.
I feel guilty because I'm running out of shit to talk about, and I honestly think these guys got to get sick of hearing me fucking talk about Obama. And that's why I wanted to get back into some of the firearms things. The only problem with that is that almost requires somebody to videotape me if I'm going to demonstrate something.
Right.
So that's where I'm a little bit limited. I guess I could get my son to do it, but he'd rather be playing fucking video games.
You could get a tripod, set your shot ups. That's what I do. What I make.
That's true.
I take a tripod and I just do different angles and try to get the different shots that I want, and then just edit them all together afterwards.
That's a good idea, man. One of the first videos I did on this channel. My memory is so fucked up, man. That's like the obvious answer. Yeah, tripod, and I've actually got one sitting here somewhere. But
yeah.
I did a video one time, and it's a real crappy quality because I didn't have a tripod. I set my cell phone camera on my reloading bench back here, and I leaned it against something, and it was how to take down the Glock. The Glock.
How field strip it.
Yeah, but it wasn't necessarily how to field strip it. It was the way to, because a lot of people have a hard time holding the slide back while they're trying to hit the release on the bottom. So I showed them a little trick. That thing is popular, man. I get messages all the time, man, going, "Oh man, I was getting ready to throw my Glock away, and that video helped me." And so you just never know, man, what shit works and what doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, who's grumpy sitting there? God damn it, you look meaner than me. Good God. I actually thought that was a still shot of myself.
No.
I love you. Give me a hug.
Bad mirror.
How you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Good, and don't you could be my cousin and I wouldn't remember names. I'm really fucked up. Who are you?
I'm Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. Well, welcome, man. Did you have any trouble getting in?
I had trouble finding it, but that's the best way to find everything is get lost.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know if you were on the last one, were you? The one we did before? Yeah, it was.
No.
Yeah, and I think you realized that watching it, there was a long time where I was just talking to myself because people weren't, and I still don't know how to freaking use this thing. I press buttons until people show up.
Seems to work.
Yeah.
So hey, we got, and again, I gave these guys a disclaimer. You don't have to answer anything because it's the internet, but it's interesting. We got one guy from Glendale, which is where I was born, and then he's from California. What part of the world are you at right now, or where are you from?
Well, I'm from San Diego, but I'm in Wisconsin right now, so I'm definitely really, really lost.
That's interesting. Yeah, we were just talking because he's not in California anymore either. Ron is
Indiana now.
Where are you at?
Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana. So he's in Indiana, and I have 3 of my kids they live out in San Diego. San Diego. How long have you? Or let me ask you this: is that where you were raised?
Yeah, that was in the military. So in the Navy, and flew out of North Island to all those guys. But he had a really bad student, so he said, "You're never going to be like that admiral's son." And so I joined the Army instead.
Right.
Went all over the rest of the world, and so now I build networks, and that means I'm never in the same place for more than a couple of years anyway.
Roger that. Got it. Yeah, no, and I was one of the things about San Diego I always remember is when I was in the Army, and I'd come home on leave and we'd go down to Tijuana. That was when you could go to Tijuana and not get killed. You know, San Diego was such a different place, man. It was kind of fucked up. I mean, it was like a standard military place, man, like off post at Fort Bragg in Fayetteville. But now it's absolutely luxurious, man. I don't know when the last time you were back there, but it is awesome. They've cleaned it up, man. It's not even the same.
I drove in a couple of years ago just to see the hometown and stuff. I spent a lot of time around hanging out at the Dell when I was a kid, and a big hotel there. And so I like to drop in every once in a while. But yeah, when I was a kid, the entrance into Tijuana was 4 lanes. Now it's like 16. So it's totally different. Back then, the MPs had a morning roll.
Yeah.
5 a.m. They'd be picking the guys up out of the gutters. You know.
Then they'd go to the jails. You know, they'd come and get you out of that freaking Mexican jail. Now, if you get arrested, man, you're there till you're fucking dead, man.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Charlie, stop. Yeah. Greetings. How come I don't see them? Oh, okay, here we go. It's Matthew. Hey, Matt.
Hey, how are you, Mike?
How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Good. You have trouble getting in, or I'm just curious to see, because we all did, including me.
Yeah, all I'm seeing is a freeze frame on my face at the moment.
Us. How did you hear about it?
Well, I saw your video yesterday,
okay.
And then I just saw the tweet just now.
Roger that. Okay, yeah, I was wondering if that was a last-minute thought, was to tweet out shit, I was hoping to get some real like confrontational people and to make it exciting. So I tweeted out, "Let's talk about racism," or that'd be kind of fun. It'd be kind of fun to get a whole bunch of militant blacks in here that want to rap. I mean, I'm not a racist, but it would be fun. I mean, because I got a lot to say on that subject.
Yeah.
I'm the only one not smoking. What the fuck?
And I'm vaping.
I am too, but I gotta hide in the backyard. He thinks I quit like 6 months ago.
I mean, I quit a year ago.
Oh yeah. What do you got? Is somebody on an e-cigarette?
That's me.
Three of us.
Gotcha.
I quit because I plan to join the LAPD, and I don't want to run and have like smoker's lung coughing up.
Okay. I know who you are now, man. Yeah. Now, where are you at with that process?
Because I graduated from a foreign school, and it's going to take me a long time to get my transcripts and have it certified.
Yeah.
I decided to just go back door and get a GED and.
Okay, that's coming from Matt. Hang on a second. Okay, Glock. Did you guys hear all that static?
I did.
It sounded like a diesel engine.
Yeah, I actually turned Matt's volume down. Matt, hang on a second. This is for you. I'm gonna give me a 5 count, Matt.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, yeah, it's a little bit staticky, so I'm just gonna turn it down just for a second because I want to hear Glock. Tell me again, man, what you were saying now. Last thing I heard was GED.
Yeah, because I graduated college from the Philippines, so I'm certified, and so I just decided that I'll just get a GED and then just take the test from there.
Now, are they? I guess this is a dumb question, but are they still? Are they taking people with GED still?
Yeah.
Good.
That's
what I did.
Yeah, and if I do get into the academy, the time I'm in the academy, I can have my diploma certified, and by the time I get out, I can hopefully be certified and I can get my pay bump.
Nice, nice. Yeah. Okay, so what do you think the timeline is before like academy start date? I mean, have you done any of the testing at all?
I went to the testing, but they wouldn't take me because I didn't meet the standard. I didn't have certified,
I got you, man. That sucks.
Yeah, but you learn, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's never been an easy process. I mean, it's not a quick one. I probably had the simplest time getting in because the Olympics were just coming up, and in fact, we were the last class to graduate before the Olympics. And I mean, they were back then. They had like 7,000 cops, I think. I don't know what they're up to now, but we only had 18 divisions, and I think they're up to 20-some divisions now. So that's a growing department.
Yeah, they got Olympic, and then I know they opened 3 more.
Yeah, I wouldn't recognize that place. I watch it on the news now, man. I see those guys, and I'm like, holy fuck, am I glad I'm out of there. I mean, you'll love it, because you got to keep in mind that a guy like me that will say, hey, it's completely fucked up, that's because I have something to compare it to. You know what I mean? When you get in there, you're not going to know it any other way than the way it is. So you're not going to be sitting there going, fuck. In the old days, we used to be able to fucking kill people and plant guns on them. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what I like about your stories, because you have a lot of old school stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
everybody, anywhere you go, man, if you go in the military and you're talking to some dude with rank, it was always better when he was in. It's always going to be that way, dude. I mean, when I came in, people were like, oh, fuck, man, you guys got it easy, man. We didn't have radios. We had to fucking have pigeons and fucking write notes on their legs and send them out for backup. It's always going to be that way, man.
When I was a kid, my dad had an office in Hollywood and Vine.
Oh, wow.
So I know a lot of LAPD over there. So I grew up there, and this is 84 to 87.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I remember what LAPD was like, and they were bad dudes. You didn't want to mess with them.
I'll tell you what, man, I did all that time, and not to, for the rest of you guys, not to bore you with police shit, but just real quick.
I love police stories, love them.
When I came on the job, I did all my shit after probation. I was in the South End, and I was working crash. So when they transferred me to Hollywood, I literally thought, holy shit, this is going to be boring. I mean, why would I, what could possibly happen in Hollywood? I wasn't in Hollywood 5 days before I got in a shootout. I mean, and that just goes to show that, here I am people are like, man, you work in Watts? God damn, that must be dangerous. The only time I ever fired my gun in the projects was one time I fired some warning shots because I was facing about 14, 15 guys I had to get them down. They were armed, and I was sitting there all alone. But, and then the shooting ended up being, believe it or not, I got sued by Neil Simon. You might be too young to know who that is, but some of you guys know the playwright, the guy that wrote Biloxi Blues.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter, as a matter of fact, I'll show you something that, this is like a big thing, man. Nobody's ever seen this outside the family. Now, this wasn't planned. I didn't plan on this, and it's dusty. But what this is, it's funny that we're talking about this.
Oh, crap, I know what that is.
You know now, when I got into the shootout, Neil Simon's daughter, Nancy Simon, was in a 64 Mustang, just a convertible. The only difference was it was blue. And the suspect was hiding behind it, shooting at me. And so when I graduated, this is what they gave. I'm sorry, when I graduated. When I retired from the department, this is one of the things that I got because I fucked that Mustang up beyond all belief. I mean, I had that thing riddled with bullet holes, man. I was hitting everything but the bad guy until I finally calmed down. So this represents Nancy Simon's car.
Of course, the real crime was not shooting around a civilian, but messing up the Mustang.
That's what everybody was mad at me about. Was like, geez, I can't. Forget the fact that I almost. You're not going to believe this, but Nancy Simon was in that car. I mean, can you believe that?
Whoa.
Now, I mean, just because I got to fill in the blanks, I'm in a running. Standard police shootout is 7 to 10 feet, and it's over in like 4 seconds. It's just that fast. So naturally, me being me, it ain't going to be standard. This was a fucking running battle where the dude's shooting over his shoulder at me. And I mean, it's, Saturday night, it was at Hollywood and, I'm sorry, it was at Sunset and Cahuenga's where it started, the Jack in the Box there.
Yeah.
So he runs into this parking lot, and I'm brand new to the division. I don't know my way around. So I thought the parking lot went through to the next street, like they do further up on Cherokee and shit. So he had no way out. And Nancy Simon and her fiance at the time were drinking beers in the parking lot. They heard all the gunfire coming up the street and the yelling, stop, stop. So she lays down on the floor of the car. Her fiance gets under the car. The bad guy gets behind the car, and I don't know anybody's there except him. He's shooting at me. It even gets better than that. I mean, talk about God intervention, man. I'm fucking stitching this car with rounds trying to hit this dude. Because he'd pop up, shoot, and go down. At one point, I thought, well, fuck it. I'm just going to shoot his feet off from under him. And I fucking dropped down, and I skipped bullets under the car. Her fiance was under that car, and I didn't hit him. I mean, can you imagine? I'm going to tell you something, man. When that guy finally got hit, and he's, oh, I'm hit. All of a sudden, the fiance stands up, and I'm like thinking, who the fuck's that? And he goes, and I'm thinking he's a suspect, you know. I'm like, hey man, you know, get your hands up. He goes, my fiance's in the car. Okay, flat tire, oil leaking, glass everywhere, and I literally thought I just killed some innocent chick, man. And all of a sudden she sits up covered in glass, not a fucking bullet, not a mark on her. Is that wild, man? I mean, I swear to God, man.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I believe it, though. For a while there, I was running as an assistant armor.
Yeah.
Of course, they would stick me with the really bad job, which is keeping the lieutenants efficient. And, of course, they got pistols. Everybody else has got a rifle. You know, enough time, you're going to hit the target. Pistols, it's like all over the place. They're breathing, they're moving, they're not bracing.
And this is the Army, right? Just for everybody else to say, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just the Army, not police. But oh my God, what a mess! And you know, we eventually just said, okay, sit down, put your hand on the bag, and look down the end, and hopefully they'll hit something.
Yeah.
Before we had 9, so with a 45, there's a lot more kick to it.
Yeah.
The old 11s.
You know, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, again, I'll keep. Anytime you guys want to change subjects, just do it. And also, I got to tell you something, Matt. I have your volume down because for some reason there's a shitload of feedback. So if you want to say something, either chat or just raise your hand up like this, and I'll turn you up. Because here's what happens when I turn you up. Hang on a second. How do I turn? Oh, there he is. Okay, hang on. Okay, it's not so bad now. Say something.
I'm here.
Okay, yeah, that's good enough. So I'm going to leave you like half volume, and I'll turn you up louder when you're talking.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I was going to say, man, when you know, not to sound like an old timer, but when I came on, we were, you know, I still have my issued 38 revolver, 4-inch stainless, and my dad actually used to go on ride-alongs, and he watched it, man. He'd be riding with a sergeant, and we were pulling gangbangers out of car, 64 Impalas with fucking Tech 9s, Uzis. Those were the things in the 80s. And AK-47.
I remember those.
Yeah, we're sitting here with 6 fucking 38 rounds, proning fuckers out that have AK-47s, man.
Yeah, 30, every magazine, pistol or rifle, 30 mags.
Yeah, and you know, and the thing about LAPD, and I mean, I'm not Glock. I'm not trying to talk bad about LAPD, but I have to complain. You know, we all complain about where we work. LAPD is like any other big city. They have to have a disaster to change. They won't change anything until somebody.
Yeah. Just like the LA shootout at the of.
Yes, that's right. Well, and in my case, with the 38, the other agencies were starting to carry 9mm. LAPD was like, oh fuck, we're never going to do that because California, let's face it, it's a liberal state beyond belief.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was Duncan was one guy's name, and I think Wayne was the other. They were 2 Asian officers, and they were working the footbeat in downtown LA in the Chinese, or I'm sorry, yeah, they have like a little Chinese area there where the jewelry stores are.
Yeah.
And they walked into a jewelry store as part of their footbeat, just say, hey, Bob, what's going on? And it was being robbed by a guy who had a 9mm, and the guy behind the counter had a 9mm. Well, as soon as they walked in, and it's like a little area, not as big as where I'm sitting, and they're all shooting at the same fucking time. And of course, you know, the guy behind the counter's trying to shoot the bad guy's shooting fucking the cops. Everybody's hit, and both cops got killed reloading their fucking 6 shots. And after that, then we were able to go to the 9mm. I mean, it's like, come on. And then, of course, after North Hollywood, like you said, and it was like, well, maybe we ought to have the supervisors have the 223s or maybe a rifle or something. You always got to lose a life, man, before these fuckers will do something right.
Yeah, what was it? Just a couple months prior, there was a bill for more money for the police departments to have better weapons, and it was turned down.
Yes, yes.
You know, it's like,
And
come on, man.
It's the same with the communications guys, and I think it was what's the name of that agency in New York City that was involved with they own the property of the World Trade Center. Port Authority. The Port Authority guys. I think they had issues with communications too. What am I hearing? I hear an airport.
Yeah,
That's me. I guess my headphones are too sensitive. I'm at work actually. I'm at the fire station.
Oh, that's cool. So you're a firefighter?
Yeah. I sent you a comment the other day on one of your videos.
Okay. Well, shit, man. That is awesome.
That's me.
So
Yeah.
now let me ask you this now, because now that I have, I adopted my 2 nephews, so all my kids are grown, and now I have 2 stepchildren and then 2 nephews that I've adopted. And of course, one of them is a little mini me. I mean, he's a little redheaded. He looks exactly like me.
Yeah.
And he wants to be a cop and then go in the military and blah blah blah. And now that it's weird how you change. Like I wouldn't have done anything except jump out of planes and go to LAPD. But now I'm thinking, why don't you go in the Coast Guard and do something else? Because you don't want your guys getting killed. But
Right.
But I'm trying to talk him into the fire department, not because it's less dangerous, but because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this was the cops' perspective, because we were always next door to the fire station. These guys had it fucking made for a couple of reasons. One, people still waved at him instead of fucking trying to, instead of just one finger. Two,
Right.
They worked like something like 3 on, 4 off or something, and they all had secondary careers. So like they would be like construction. They'd own a fucking, a landscaping business. And these guys were rolling in dough, man. Is that?
I don't know about the rolling in dough part, but the schedule's nice.
Oh God, and the food, my God, we used to go over there and beg them for fucking food, man.
Yeah, you don't see too many skinny firemen. We eat well.
Firehouse.
Now, do you guys rotate? You have to take turns cooking?
Actually, at my station, I'm the cook.
Oh, so you must be good at it then.
Well, they tell me I am.
Yeah, well,
So.
you must be, or they wouldn't be letting you be the sole cook.
That's true.
Wow.
True.
Wow. So now, what's your schedule like now? Are you like on day 1 of a stretch, or?
Well, we actually, our schedule, I mean, every department's different, but ours, we work 1 day for 24 hours, and we have 48 hours off.
Wow, I mean, come on, man. You work 1 day doing something awesome, and then get that. That's a good career, brother.
I like it.
How long have you been doing it?
17 years.
Oh shit! And how long do you have to go before you can get full retirement?
I've got 3 to go. Unless I buy time, then I could go right now.
Good God, and you're only 25. That's awesome.
25, I wish.
No, wow.
I wish.
No,
I wish I was 25 again.
That's a good choice. So military and fire department, doesn't get any better than that, man.
No, I like it. Although, I'll tell you what, the sentiment's changing a little bit.
That's
you talk about everybody waves at us and then, flips you guys off.
I hesitate a little because you're right. You're right.
Because, there's been several stories here where firefighters and paramedics have been shot at. And, I mean, our badge is similar enough to the police badge. Our uniform looks close enough. They don't care who we are. They just...
Okay, I remember the email exchange the comments exchange. And that's why when I started to say that about waving, I hesitated because I thought, wait a minute, that changed even in my day. I mean, down on the south end, for those other guys, I was talking with him on the comments of a video, and it got to the point in Watts where, I mean, a lot of people died from heart attacks and shit because the fire department would only go up to the outside of the projects. They would never go in until we cleared it because they were ambushing the firemen. I mean, it got so bad, and we were trying to figure out what's the beef with the firemen? And we thought, well, maybe because they're friends with cops, or they look like cops, or they're part of the system. But I mean, I remember working in the projects when a phone company repair dude was sniped off the pole and was hanging there dead in his fucking harness. So sometimes it's just because they're fucking bloodthirsty cocksuckers. I just don't know. Yeah. And by the way, if you see me doing this, it's not because I was fucking around with my knife and cut my hand and then bleeding profusely. I'm highly trained. I wouldn't do something like that. God damn it. Fuck. I'm bleeding to death. If I fall down, man, just go on without me and avenge me. What the hell is that?
We'll call the fire department.
Yeah, right. Oh, man.
Story like that makes me glad my knee kind of went out in the military. I started out doing comms and telephone poles and all that crap, and had a good time with it. But when I got out, there was a number of choices, and it was kind of fading on linemen were having problems. So I went into a different part of it. Still putting phones together, but yeah, I'm glad I'm not on cherry pickers or climbing poles anymore.
Man, I'll tell you something. I've had, when I left the department, I went through a couple of different phases, and one of them was I was a regional manager for a cable company that now is AT&T absorbed it, but we were doing fraud. I was in charge of a fraud investigations unit, and and we also had an auditing side. And one of their requirements was they had to go through this pole climbing school, and getting these people through these schools, especially the chicks, I really have a new respect for that, because that's a dangerous thing, man, going up those poles, cutting away, and oh man.
Well, the hard part is learning to lean back and not lean into it. Otherwise, you're just going to get a face full of splinters.
Yeah, and instinct makes you kind of want to lean into it. Yeah, so it goes against.
Get up and get used to it. Plus, the nice thing about it may be hot as hell at the street, but you climb up 90 feet, and things start to cool off. You get above the trees, above the houses, and there's a little bit of a breeze. And
yeah.
Not too bad, and it's okay to lean back. And then you're doing the tourist thing, and you got to remember, oh yeah, I'm up here to splice something.
You couldn't get me near a wire. I say a prayer before I turn on a fucking light, man. I'm so afraid of electricity, man.
Well,
no way, man.
DC is the kicker. If you're in AC, you're no problems.
Just thinking about that makes my nose bleed.
Yeah, but all these solar things are coming in, and the electric cars. That's got to be the worst part about being a fireman now is trying to figure out what to do when one of these electrical vehicles gets hit, because you're not talking 12 volts or even 48. It could be a whole lot more.
Yeah, the hybrids are the worst.
Which ones?
The hybrid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, because you've got the regular electrical system, and you got the hybrid electrical system, which is your 240 volts or 270 volts or whatever it is, and you cut the wrong wire and you're gone.
Yep.
Now, is there some kind of safety thing built into these cars that shuts them off on impact, or no?
It doesn't really shut them off. A lot of them aren't going to do anything unless they're like really, really messed up. But I mean, at least there's a standard, like the high voltage wires and stuff. They're always orange on hybrids, and that's just something that they tell us. It's like you never cut an orange wire,
right?
Or that'll be the last thing you remember doing. So.
Man,
but they're usually cutoffs, like the Prius and those kind of cars. They have a little cutoff in the back. You just got to find it, and if you hit it, it's kind of like a circuit breaker. You just pull it, and it'll kill the power.
It's intact, though. Yeah.
With all the copper thefts, I'm sure you've run into that, because when I was working with the IG for Amtrak, that one of the things that's popular is copper theft, and some of the out here on the East Coast, they have the catenary lines, because everything north of Virginia, the engines switch from diesel to electric, and there's a series of cables. I don't pretend to understand it, but one of them is copper. But you got to bypass a hot one, and sometimes these thieves will go up there and touch one of the hot ones, and that's where you find them in the morning smoking. That's no way to go, man. Look like a ballpark Frank.
Yeah.
Fuck. So what do we think about? Hey, what's going on politically, man? I mean, am I the only one that's like almost afraid to watch the news anymore? I mean,
not alone.
What's what's the most egregious thing right now? Because there's so much shit going on. I have a hard time figuring out which one I'm more concerned with. Which one's the most threat?
Probably Iran, but
Yeah. What did you guys think of Netanyahu's thing?
Yeah, it was good.
Loved it.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, man. I mean, I think really, I looked at what's his name, the guy from Jordan, the pilot, the king.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want that fucker to be my leader. It's like, we'll take anyone that's not a fucking closet Muslim. Anybody. I mean, I looked at Netanyahu and I'm thinking, you've seen all that shit going around the email where they show Netanyahu when he's a young guy and he's in uniform and shit, and then next to it is Obama smoking a joint, and you're like, this guy's really the leader of the fucking free world, man? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly.
And then with this Selma shit going on, you know, it curdles my fucking blood because my father and I were just talking about this. You see, when you see a guy like Obama, okay, you got Obama and fucking Holder, the biggest racist on earth, and they sit there and talk about how the black man can't get ahead, and you're looking and you're going, but you're the king, you're in the highest office in the land.
Right.
What the fuck is gonna make you happy? And then Holder, well, yeah, this country's fraught with racism. You're the highest law enforcement dude on the. What more do you got? It just proves to me that it's a learned, you know, these fucking. And again, I almost hate to even say this, and I'm gonna get to a point where I'll never say it again. I'm not racist, but I am a realist, and I fucking, I'm just not afraid anymore to say the truth because the truth is that the blacks as a whole, the majority of blacks in this country, they're suffering from like a learned helplessness that whites fucking forced on them, and they're not going to give it up because if you give that up, you automatically have to own responsibility for your actions. You know, you give up a lot of free shit, and let's face it, if I could be a victim all fucking day long and make everybody feel guilty for everything wrong with me, I bet that'd be kind of fun. You know, I stubbed my toe, fucking Asians did it. You know,
Right.
Come on, man.
I don't know if it's necessarily a black thing necessarily. I think it's more of a socioeconomic thing. I mean, yeah, you have a lot of poor blacks that do it, but I mean, I see a lot of poor whites that do it too.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I mean, it's mostly, it's not the people who are successful in their work or successful in their life or whatever. It's the people who are just, it's born that way and it's generational. Their parents were that way. Of course, you know, I'm in Kentucky, and eastern Kentucky is very poor, and you see a lot of that. And they're almost all white. It's not just a black thing. I think it's just a social.
But what I think I'm going with, though, and I hear you loud and clear. You're absolutely right. I mean, you're talking to the, that's how I grew up. But what I'm talking about is not the use of benefits or poverty. I get that. What I'm talking about is the mantra that it's somebody else's fault, and it's because I'm a certain color. That's why I can't fucking get ahead. It's hard for me.
Right. Yeah.
It's hard for me to take that serious when the president's black. I'm not saying that there's not racism. Of course there is. But what I am saying is a lot of it is flowing from the other direction, and I think it's because white people, in an attempt to fucking make everybody like them, in my generation when I was younger, everybody, oh, we fucked over the Indians, and it's like whites have been beating themselves up for so long now. You know, is it just me or is it Black History Month all year long?
It's a learned thing. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, so they've learned to be loud about it. Yeah. The problem is they got all this momentum going. The train it's left the station.
Yeah.
And they're still being squeaky about it.
Well, look at the Ferguson thing. The Attorney General wraps up his case, and the finding. I mean, to me, this makes me want to hit walls. And it's not a racism thing, but it's like they come up with numbers. 80% of the arrests in a given town are black. Okay, I'm not a smart fucking dude. I got a GED. Perhaps 80% of the crime is being committed. I mean, look, man, I was a cop for a long time. And I worked with a lot of people, and there were racist people. But I have never yet gotten in a car with somebody who said, hey, go on us down some darkies. I ain't never seen it. I mean, we go to the fucking calls, and if somebody's a bad guy, we hook them up. You know, white, black, or indifferent.
Well, check this out, Mike.
Yeah.
Think about it like this.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Think about it like this, Mike. You have a whole bunch of community organizers throughout the country rallying people up, getting them excited because, let's be honest, they don't have a lot going in their life. They might be from poor neighborhoods, projects, things like that. And you have someone coming in and speaking to them and talking about issues that they've been talked to about by their grandparents or their great-grandparents, things that have been passed down. And, now they're hearing somebody who looks strong, who appears to be, who they say they are. But when it really comes down to it, they're telling them, you're entitled to these things. You're entitled to have all of this. And no, you're not entitled to have anything. You're entitled to what you work for.
You're absolutely right. And on that note, maybe I should refine it a little bit. It's not, I don't necessarily hold the individuals responsible because you're right. And like I think it was Matt said, it is generational, I mean, if you grow up in a home and all of us are subject to falling victim to that. I mean, for the most part, I'm probably like one of the rare ones that went completely against everything. I mean, because my mom was just a full-blown hippie, dope-smoking, she was a prostitute. My dad, you guys don't know my dad here. My dad and I our relationship's brand new. I mean, I never really got to know him until I got out of the Army. He's going to be 80 next month, and he just moved in 2 weeks ago. So,
Right.
we even had a little battle last night, and we just made up today. I mean, it's like we're starting to get to know each other. But my point is, if I would have listened to my mother's rhetoric, I'd have hair down to my ass. I would be on welfare. I'd have 16 different kids by 17 different women. Try doing that math. I mean, it's just, I don't hold them responsible. I hold white America responsible because we've kind of, and it's hard to say this. I'm hesitating because I sound like a racist. I know that. I hear myself. And it's only been recently I've been even able to utter this shit. But it's true, goddammit. We are ashamed to celebrate anything except how we fucked people over. That's all we're allowed to celebrate. I mean, my wife is Vietnamese, and she comes from communist Vietnam, man. I mean, she was 12 years old when Saigon fell in '75, and she went riches to rags. She was tied to a tree on an anthill. I could write a book and hope I do someday about her. She was tortured because she's Amerasian, and how'd you like to be half American after the war? So,
right.
So she has a fresh set of questions, and it's interesting. Squad 51. See the man.
No, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. Redheaded white guy getting ready to have a heart attack about racism. Check it out. My wife looks at it. She comes at it with a fresh set of questions, and she's not influenced by anything we might be. And her first question is, how come nobody celebrates all those people that died in the Civil War fighting on the North? That's an honest, sincere question from somebody who has no dog in the fight. And she's like, but nobody ever mentions them. And I'm like, if you mention them, you're a fucking racist. You can't mention them. Hey, a lot of white people died on your behalf. Well, no, but they weren't really fighting over slavery. They were fighting, So,
hey, we were just trying to get out of Ireland, and it was a quick job,
I mean, and look at the civil rights movement. Let's move it up to when I was born and just before. I mean, there weren't any white people crossing the bridge at Selma. I thought I saw a few. I mean, it's like until we stop this fucking absolute, separation of everybody, and I've almost gotten to the point where I don't think it's possible. I mean, I said this in the last video. I have always believed when I was a kid that by the time I grew up and was 50, that there would be nobody notice the color. Everybody would just be like, "Oh, hey, Jim," But it's gotten worse, man. And the thing that makes me mad about certain black people is if I meet a black person, and I do meet them a lot, if they wake up and the first thought on their mind is I'm black, or you can tell when somebody's issue is, they're looking for a reason to be offended, and it just makes me mad because look at all the other races in this country. I mean, if America was as racist as we're portrayed to be, we'd be stepping over fucking bodies every day because I don't see too many white people anymore. I mean, fuck, everybody's got some kind of mix in them or something. So I don't know, man. Maybe I just, it's just frustrating. I mean, when you look like me, and some of you do, I mean, Kevin, you gotta fucking understand where I'm coming from. If you walk into a 7-Eleven and there's 10 blacks in there, you might as well just say I'm David Duke, because the assumption, you can feel it. Oh, this racist cocksucking motherfuckers. How many of you hanged it? They don't say it, but you feel it. No,
I remember when I was a kid and they were first integrating the Navy, and all of a sudden, you had blacks living right next to whites, and it actually turned out really good, but there was a lot of culture shock there.
Right.
When people, to me, when they would say that I'm a minority, it's like, hey, wait a minute. Like 40% of the U.S. population is of some color.
Yes.
I got red hair. I'm in the 3% of the other 70%.
That's right.
So I'm 0.7% of. So there is no minority like a redhead, and people don't realize. My grandfather would talk about before World War I. They couldn't get a job. He had 6 brothers, and they were stuck digging ditches, digging the Erie Canal because that was the only job they could get. And half of them died of either yellow fever or malaria because that was the only job they could get. And then all of a sudden World War I came along, and they said, well, we need people to fight in Europe again. And, of course, their grandfather had just come over, and they're like, do we really want to go back? But they'd done the only other jobs that they could get were military jobs. But, so I grew up with those stories of, the Irish aren't allowed here.
Yes. Kevin, you're Irish?
Go in there's these great pubs. Well, it's because the Irish had to hide their bars, their pub, before the Prohibition. So, for a long time, they were already hiding stuff. So when the Prohibition came along, we had better bars.
Yeah.
And the tradition is kind of kept along, so you can, some of the modern stuff is schmaltzy, but the theme carried along, and the reason why is because we were segregated, as a lot of the other immigrants were,
Yeah.
Same thing happened with the Jewish people, the Eastern Europeans, the Russians. They were all segregated as
Brother,
well.
I gotta tell you, man. On my mom's side, I'm redheaded too. It just turned white. But
Yeah,
I'm
my
Irish.
kids stole mine.
So I got Irish and Scottish, and on my father's side, try being a redheaded Jew. I mean, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, and the other thing you've heard me say on the videos is I had no relatives at all here until long after the slavery days. We had nothing to do with that shit. Our people were getting gassed in the gas chambers. I have one relative left that's still got the number on his arm. I mean, so the other thing I hate is that if you see a successful, this was something I want to throw out before I forget. I used to see this where, if you're in a black community, which, and you see a doctor drive by or a black successful guy, he's automatically a sellout, and that's where I think that the black communities need to rein that shit in. They need to teach their kids to look at that guy as an example, not as somebody that sold out. Hey, you can be, what's that section in LA that it was like upper class blacks? Oh, Baldwin Hills.
Baldwin Hills.
I don't know if it's still like that, but when I was there, Baldwin Hills was like the doctors and the dentists. There was a big fire there one time. I remember working that, but they were kind of looked down on as the sellouts, where if I was a black parent, I would be pointing to those people going, this is where you can be.
I want to go off of Kevin's point about what he was talking about, with the racism towards the Irish. Now, my dad was born right after World War II. He was born in '46, and my family originally comes from the East Coast. He was living in Massachusetts as a kid, Worcester County, and he remembers as a kid walking the streets and seeing the signs, "No Irish need apply."
Wow.
And experiencing the racism, and that's not talked about. Now, when I was in high school, my history teacher, she was of Irish descent, and of course, I'm like the only other white Irish kid in the class, and we were talking about racism. She said, it's interesting, Ron and I here both come from roots that were discriminated against one time, and everybody, but you white, how are you discriminated against? And I said, well, you need to look it up. No Irish need to apply. She started showing the signs in the old pictures and the old cartoons when we were referred to as apes and monkeys with the hats and, glass of beer and being drunk, Irish hoodlums and things like that. But here's the thing. What did the Irish do when they were discriminated against? They didn't sit there and go, woe is me, everybody owes me a living, everybody owes me a paycheck or a scholarship. They stood up and said, you know what, I'm going to make something of myself, and damn it, I'm going to prove it. I'm going to step up, and I'm going to do what it takes. And what happened? Over time,
the Asians did the same thing. If you look at a lot of the Asians, instead of bitching about it, they had a system here where all the families would join together and open a store, pool their money, and then they'd get the next guy a store and the next guy a house. You know, and again, this is
a lot of them became fishermen. The Vietnamese,
right.
The fishing communities in the Gulf and in Northwest California, and then a lot of them that didn't have those skills, Amerasians, ended up in the military industry. And I remember seeing a lot of them around the Pentagon. You think, you know, of course, this is going to be one of your most secure people because they know what'll happen if you don't support the United States. They'll, you know,
and I really put the onus of this on the so-called black leadership. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, the average black citizen doesn't think about shit. I'm guessing. I'm not black, but you know, you got the Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons, and these.
Oh God!
The worst thing that could ever happen to those people is if black people woke up and started realizing what they were capable of, and that they didn't have to be led around. That would, you know, it's an industry to keep people pissed off and angry because it promotes that fucking industry, whatever you call it. What do you call Al Sharpton's industry? Hate, you know. I mean, that's what he promotes.
He's fighting the last war. He's fighting the you know, 50 years ago. He's fighting. He's crossing the bridge still. Well, the bridge has been crossed, and the reason why it was crossed is because a couple of guys from out of state came in and tried to do some social welfare and got shot for it. Yeah. And they raised a protest. Nobody did anything about it, so they said, we're going to walk to the governor's office and do something about it. And you know,
I feel sad for those people. I honestly think that the people that lost their lives back because look, man, the civil rights movement was legitimate. You know, it really was. I mean, it was 100% legitimate. No whites, or I'm sorry, white-only drinking fountains and shit. I mean, that was legitimate. But God damn it, man, I sometimes think about fucking, you know, Martin Luther King, who I look at as a great man. And I think I'm embarrassed because if he could come back and see what the fuck's happened, if he could see this.
Oh my God, he'd roll over in his grave.
Yeah, hands up, don't shoot. He would fucking be so disillusioned because. You know, everything he talked about has been shoved aside by these race baiters. It's fucked up, man.
Mm-hmm. Indeed it is.
Yeah,
it's absolutely terrible.
I don't know where it's all gonna go. I mean, right? You know, I honestly believe that there's so many things that could fuel, and this is not a tactical segue into prepping, but there's so many things that could fuel outrage and turn into a national incident. What you know, when my father and I, again, we were talking about, like, well, what do you think America should do about the Islamic situation? You know, he actually he asked me, he said, what would you do if you were the king today? Well, how would you solve it? And I told him, and surprisingly, he thought it was a good idea. But I'm not the king, so it won't happen. But there is so much that could happen and be used as an excuse to bring in martial law and to maybe quell rioting. You could actually. If you were really wanting to take guns from Americans, or you really wanted to, not that anybody in the White House wants to fuck with the Constitution, but if they did, you know, think about it, man. All you'd have to do is you could generate violence. I actually thought Ferguson might have been that type of thing because it always takes one traffic stop or one shooting, and if the shit spreads, then they come in and they can use that as an excuse to start really cracking down. And hey, we're gonna have to remove the weapons because we want to save you guys. You know, these are scary times. These are so scary that I'm actually glad I'm not too young because I'd be afraid. I don't want to see how bad it could get. I mean, really. I know that's selfish, but today I'll put it to you this way, man. I was at the river with Charlie today. And I'm walking through this beautiful forest, and I had a vision in my head, 20 years in the future, of a bunch of burkas walking around and people doing prayers, and I'm thinking, my God, there was a time when I would have thought that's not impossible, man. That is not impossible. I just heard on the news, and maybe this is wrong. I haven't had a chance to look this up, but that there's a Sharia court operating in, of all places, Texas. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Yeah, it was like and they were interviewing whoever it was, and it was like, well, it was one of the Muslims. Well, it's just because it deals with Muslim divorces because there's different criteria and shit. But I mean, holy fuck, man, are you know, that's how you sneak in, and that's it. I mean, I can't believe that. If you would have told me that was going to happen, Texas would have been the last place I would have thought. And it was.
Yeah, exactly.
It's separation of church and state, and you got to keep it up. It's like it's probably going a little too far, kicking the monument to the Ten Commandments out of a courthouse. But the simple fact is, you got to keep them separate. So yeah, you can't be introducing that. Now maybe they can have their religious component within the religious community, but not as an enforceable act of law.
You know what the problem is, though, and I mean, I'm not an expert on the subject. I know a little bit about a lot, and one of the problems with looking at Islam solely as a religious entity is it's not a religious entity. It's actually a political system, and it uses the umbrella of religion to capitalize on Western societies that are afraid, or they basically don't want to interfere with anybody's religious rights. So if I tell you, hey, it's my religion to have 10 wives, and it's my religion to head people that fuck with anybody, you know, that shouldn't be a get out of jail free card, man.
I don't think it is, and you know, they have to comply with a lot of the laws here. On the other hand, you know, there's still polygamy in various variations on Christianity as well.
Yeah.
But the simple fact is that it shouldn't be imposed in anything that's enforceable by the state or the federal government.
Well, I'm not concerned with their polygamy. I just don't like shit blowing up all the time. And I'll tell you this. If you might have noticed, I'm growing a beard. This is just in case they get an upper hand. I want to be able to convert quickly. You know? I'm one of these guys like, I'm walking through LA. I got a red shirt on the inside of this one. I switch them up. Yeah. Hey, also, I like them, man. I'm fucking one of you guys. Man. I don't know. This world is really in an interesting. It's going to be. I almost wish I could see where we're going to be at, because I predict that, you know, let's say 20, 25 years from now, man, this place is going to be either a utopia or a hellhole, but nothing in between. It's going to go one way or the other. I mean, we're almost like taking on a European feel right now.
Well, I think the craziness, fortunately or unfortunately, is going to focus still on Africa, because they're looking at over the next century quadrupling their population. You can imagine they got all kinds of problems now. And those estimates are including all the civil wars that they've had, and they've had massive genocide. So you can imagine what kind of problems there could be. I mean, as far as landmass, if you combine South America, North America, and all of Europe, including the islands of Great Britain, it's still, you could fit all of that inside of Africa. Africa's pretty big, but at the same time, they don't have the infrastructure, and that's going to be a big problem if something doesn't happen. So craziness, it's still going to be focused over there, and as the global economy kind of normalizes a lot of stuff, we're not going to be the rich guys that they're going to be going after, and now there's going to be rich guys in Africa.
Yep.
Like Dubai and all that, and they're going to have real problems. And if we're going to be their police, their bodyguards, their bouncers, then we're going to have problems because of that.
Yeah, and I've never understood the reasoning behind getting our feet involved in everything. I mean, you know, I'm almost, you know, I'm not quite an isolationist, because I understand that there's a necessity to be a player, but you know, I think the less we're involved overseas, the better in terms of combat.
Well, it's resources. You know, we're in Nigeria, we're in Cameroon for the oil, and for the potential for businesses to be built over there. Like I said, there's going to be huge boom in technology and population and the ability to feed people over there. So as far as economic potential, it's over there. You've got almost the opposite happening in India. You're still going to have a larger population. That will almost double, but it's already ridiculously large now. Yeah. But the resources are going down. So there's going to be some craziness going on. But that's why Africa is so big, and it's still going to be big. That's kind of...
Whoa. Uh-oh, you freeze-framed.
In the last 5 wars in Pakistan, Afghanistan. That's the great game from the Imperial Age. Victoria
Yeah.
was presiding all over that, and why are we still fighting that? The Russians, they finally got smart and just pulled out once we entered the game. But now it's time for us to think about, let's get the flock out of there. It's a disaster.
Well, and there's other factors that complicate it. Like in certain parts, you have all the sectarian violence and no leadership. I mean, you basically got guys driving around in technicals and shit, and with their own little teams. I mean, it's a clusterfuck over there, man.
Yep. Well, and it's so compartmentalized with the deep valleys and high mountains that they can get away with that shit. You can't fight a hillbilly on his own territory, flat out. North and South learned that the hard way during the Civil War. But
I take offense to the hillbilly comment.
I resemble them, so
that's so funny because you got some. I'm sure most of you know that I own my little bug out places up in the Shenandoah, and these are real, 100% hillbillies, man. I mean, these people, very few of them have an indoor toilet, very few, and they all were born in these houses. And even my cabin where I own the 12 acres, the guy next to me, his grandfather or great grandfather owned that whole mountain once, and it was in the 60s they started separating it. But it's so funny because you take a guy like me from California, put me up in them hills up there, and I thought I was going to get either hung or whatever. They love me, and I'm just telling you the truth. And it's because I just threw myself on my sword. I went up there and I told these guys, hey man, I am a fucking city dude. I don't know jack shit. I start fires with lighter fluid. Help me, teach me. And they are so cool. In fact, as we were talking, the guy at the property next to me was trying to call me. He calls every now and again. And when you answer the phone, the conversation can take 15 minutes if he just says, how are you? He literally, this is how he talks. And I don't have to worry, he won't see this. But he goes, his name's Jeremy, and he'll be like, well, we got a little bit of snow up here. I mean, they are hardcore. The biggest trip they ever took was they went. This guy told me one time, I said, do you ever come off the mountain? Well, we went to the, I'm speeding it up like 10 times. We went to the Walmart about 4 years ago, and that was down in Harrisonburg, and, it was just too much activity. I mean, that was their big trip to the Walmart, and they had no plans on ever going back. It was too much. I mean, these are the serious guys. Yeah, they lead me around the property, man, and this is throughout the years here. They're showing me what I can eat, what I can't eat, the mushrooms, how to fucking can. These guys are geniuses. Fucking ginseng on my property. I didn't even know what it looked like, man. It's fucking growing all over the place, wild. I mean, it's awesome, man. I just absolutely love it up there, man. I wish I could stay up there all the time. One of these days I will. They're just fucking great people, man. So I'm pro hillbilly, just to let you know.
Well, there you go.
Now, okay, trivia. Does anybody know why rednecks are called rednecks? Where that came from?
Sunburn?
That's what everybody thinks, and that's what I thought.
Something about the mines. They used to work in mines, with the copper mines or something.
Yeah, you got the first half of it. That's good.
Carbon monoxide?
Huh?
The carbon monoxide?
No. What it was a dispute between the miners and I guess government people, and it got violent. And what they did was they would wear red bandanas to show, so when they were in conflict they could see who was who. That's where that comes from.
Okay, yeah.
And I grew up thinking it was from the sun and the redneck from working in the fields.
Right.
Interesting. Don't ever say I didn't learn you. You guys are going to get offline and go, man, LMS, he really is the wise old man on the mountain. No.
At least you got the beard going for you. So
I know. Yeah, I don't know. This was actually, I had never done it, and I was amazed that my hair's turning white, so I thought, well, I'm going to see what it looks like, man. Just grow it, man. So who knows? I may look like fucking Rip Van Winkle before I'm done.
You need the Fu Manchu,
Yeah.
Wise old man on the mountain.
Yeah, no shit. Or if I do that, and then a pony. I got a hat up here with some fake hair on it that goes really long and shit. I used to use it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It looks funny, man.
There you go. Hell yeah.
Yeah, shit, man. Well, I guess we're the only guys coming on, man. I mean, are we missing any topics? Anybody want to? I feel like I kind of steered us into the show. Everybody pick a topic and let's hit it real quick. What's on your mind? We'll go left to right. So Glock, what's going on? I don't know your real name, Glock. What is it?
My name is Gerald.
Sorry, Gerald. Gerald, what's on your mind, man? Tell us something. Teach us something.
About what you're talking about, the Sharia law up in Texas.
Yeah.
You know, you give these people an inch and they want a mile.
That's right.
You know, back in the 70s, my dad was a cop in the Philippines in Manila. He used to tell me like big stories about how all the crime that's done in Manila is done by Muslim people. You know, they'd be the ones snatching, pickpocketing, and there was a time when a police officer was killed, and the guy who did the shooting ran into a mosque, and it took 2 days to negotiate to get that guy out. And you know, and I see it coming over here, and it's scary, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's face it, man. You know better than I do. The Philippines has a lot of fucking problems right now with Islamic terrorists, and you know their cops are getting killed right and left over there.
Yeah, that shootout that happened a month ago. That group. My cousin belonged to that group back in the 90s. I mean, he's retired too. He's a retired cop in the Philippines, and yeah, they did a lot of crazy stuff out there. And when they had to go into the jungle to get someone, to bring him to trial. Nobody came out of the jungle to go to trial.
That's
what we did it.
Do you speak Tagalog?
A little bit. I know enough to get me around. But I was born here. I grew up here. I just went to the Philippines to go to school.
If you understand this, Malakay ang titiko.
Oh, okay.
That was you always learn the bad shit first. Guys, don't try to understand. But that's not bad for a fucking white guy. I mean,
that's pretty good.
If you really think about it, go ahead. Take some time to think about it. No,
I saw that video. You're speaking Spanish. You're speaking German.
You know, I learned. It's really weird. I learn languages very easy. And now, for those of you, if you're interested at all in music, my father, the guy that walked in on the video in the beginning, if you Google his name, Mort Weiss, he's the world's best living jazz clarinet player, and that's
I saw that video.
I saw that video.
He's really good, man. And where was I going? I think the music is in the family because my kids all play instruments, and I can sit at a piano and you'd swear to God, any song you name, I can play it in a few seconds, but I've never had a lesson in guitar. And the reason I'm telling you this is I think it's connected with the language because I spent a year and a half in Germany, and I understood it and picked it up quick. Spanish, just growing up in LA, I understand almost 100%. I speak about 90. Never had a lesson. Tagalog, I dated a Filipino girl for not even a year, and I understand a lot of it. The only one that's kicked my ass is my wife. Now she's Vietnamese, and I'm telling you, dude, nobody can learn Vietnamese. Not even Vietnamese people. This is how I describe it. I think I was saying this on the last video. It's like if I'm talking Vietnamese right now. This is a Coke. That means this is a Coke. If I say, this is a Coke, it means you owe me $5, pay up. If I say, this is a Coke, it means I'll see you tomorrow at 2:35. The inflection changes the whole meaning. So,
it's total.
I can only see the bad shit.
Mandarin's probably one of the hardest for the same reason.
Well, they use a part of the palate that we don't normally use. It's like I can't even do it. My wife always laughs when I try to make that sound. They push their tongue up. It's very hard to do it.
Fricative.
Say it again.
It's a palative fricative.
You know, there's no reason to call me names, man. I thought I was being pretty nice. No, I'm just kidding. No, you're absolutely right. And it's like Nguyen, like it's N-U-G-Y-N. That the way they pronounce that. Yeah, and they get a little in there somewhere. And fucking German, come on, man, that's an ugly language. Let's just face it. I mean, you could be telling somebody you love them, and if you dim the lights, and you'd look like Hitler.
It's an angry language.
It just sounds off. Yeah.
I don't know. I always thought it was beautiful, but then it may have been the beer glasses, though.
Well, yeah. After a couple of beers, it is beautiful. So, okay, who's up? Kevin, anything on your mind that we didn't talk about?
No, I'm enjoying the conversation.
I am too, man. Me too.
Covered a lot of the bases that I'd been thinking about.
Matt?
Not really. Just like when you think about political stuff, or you think about behavior of people, or different groups of people, whatever. I think if you watch the news, or if you watch anybody really, and that YouTube people, myself included, people tend to oversimplify things and want to have an easy blame. And I try to look at everything like I look at my kids. My kids, their primary goal in life is to not get in trouble, and preferably if they can get their brother or sister in trouble in the process, even better. So that's kind of like people groups. Yeah. Like with, you were talking about black people blaming white people for their problems, whatever. Well, it's easy to blame. It's easy to blame other people when you have it bad, instead of taking responsibility or ownership of, hey, I got myself here, or my mom got me here, or my grandparents, or whatever. It's easy to say, it's your fault. It's not mine. And that is irregardless of skin color. It is regardless of
like human
money. Yeah. It's a human condition to not take responsibility for your own actions.
I agree.
I see it every day with people. They'll do some stupid shit, and I am getting called out there, and I look into these people like they got three heads, because that's some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And it's somebody else's fault every time.
Right.
You can have them on camera. You can have them dead to rights.
Yeah.
And it's the other guy's fault.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Every time. It's like dealing with children. And that's why I don't take a lot of what most people would say. Like even stuff when you talk about complex political stuff like the Middle East or whatever. Look at ISIS. They're just a bigger kid.
Yeah.
They want their way.
Mm-hmm.
They want their way, and they're going to bully to get it. That's no different than my son getting bullied in high school or whatever. The bigger kid is going to get what he wants because he's bigger.
No, I
don't know. It's just.
I think that's a good analogy, but what's this? But what do you do with that? Like, I'm not saying that you have the answers, but like, just what do you do with it?
Well, I think first of all you have to understand it for what it is. Human nature being what it is, regardless of whether you're Muslim, you're a Christian, you're an atheist, you're black, you're white, you're, whatever.
Yeah.
Human nature is the same at its base. We want to be successful, and we want to get ahead of the other guy, and if we can keep the other guy down, even better. And it's just, I don't know how you can't legislate that away. I don't think you can religion it away, because religious people, regardless of whether it's Christian, Muslim, Jew, pick one, are some of the worst. And it doesn't. I think you can't. You definitely can't force it. You just have to, in your own way, say, okay, I understand this is the human condition, and I'm going to try to not be that way myself, and I'm going to try to encourage the people that I interact with to not be that way. But ultimately, it's not my choice. They're going to do what they're going to do, and I'm going to try to do what I'm going to do. But ultimately, like I was telling you in that YouTube comment, I hope for the best. I prepare for the worst.
Yeah, no,
because I understand human nature.
Yeah, and you actually you speak very wise words, man, and you're right. And what I like about that, and in the comments too, of what you just said here, it really, and you might notice in some of my other videos, I'm always trying to remind us, because when I'm talking to you guys on the videos, I'm also talking to myself and learning shit. And I try to remind myself, to not get in too deep on any of this shit, because at some point, your quality of life suffers, and we really can't solve all the problems. And I remember one video I made not too long ago where I can't remember the percentage, but it was like, give yourself a certain amount of time to think about this shit, and then turn it off, because, it's like, if there are people that are so hung up on prepping, that, God, it's almost like they want something to happen because, that's all their life has become, is prepping. You don't want to,
right,
or worrying about Obama, and that's why it's important. I told my father this, because it's easy to think that I walk around gritting my teeth thinking about this shit. Well, I do when I'm making a video, and then it's back to Charlie and me, and I turn it off, because I don't want to have a fucking heart attack over it,
Yeah, but speaking of like Obama and stuff, though, I work with a lot of conservative guys. And, everybody's Obama, everything's Obama's fault. Well, you know what? He is really no different than any politician. Again, think of them like children. They just happen to have the ball. Whether he's Democrat, whether he's a Republican, whether he's a Libertarian.
And he's one piece in a, you got Valerie Jarrett, you got George what's his face. So yeah, it's much more complex. I think we use the Obama almost as a focal point, but yeah, certainly Obama is not making Obama's decisions. I don't personally think he's smart enough, and I mean that. I don't think he's smart enough to make some of the decisions he's credited with making.
Yeah.
I think he's obviously being directed by people he puts his trust in.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying, but the people who put all their faith in a politician, or who put all of their fears and hatred in a politician, whichever it is, whatever side of it you fall on, I think they're just equally wrong, because ultimately that politician is going to do what's best for that politician. Just like any other human being, he just happens to have the ball and he's sitting in the big chair.
Well, and it's also important to remember that, and I always try to end when we're talking about politics in the House, people don't get to high positions whether they're your person or not, whether they're Democrat or Republican or whatever, Tea Party. When you get to a certain level, you have to have a certain mindset and personality, and typically that means you're fucking somebody over. I mean, or you're ego-driven. And ego is not, as my father always says, ego is not necessarily a pejorative term, but people that are ego-driven and their ego is everything, I don't like being around those fucking people. And most high-level business people, attorneys, even doctors, and certainly politicians, that's kind of the personality type. I mean, you don't see a bunch of really nice, friendly guys that become the president of the United States.
That's because that's what it takes to get there. It takes to be ego-driven, narcissistic, and what's in it for me. So
yeah,
you just have to understand that, and understand that's what you're dealing with, and then it just doesn't seem like it's such a big shock when people say, well, Obama did this. Well, of course he did.
Yeah.
That's
a good way to look at it, and maybe not give it more power than it deserves.
Yeah, I don't know. I could be totally full of shit, too. I don't know. That's how I look at the world.
No, I don't think you're full of shit, but of course the flip side is that no matter what the genesis is or what's pushing it, it does affect our lives. So it's really hard to balance it, because if you just, I guess I could, it's, ignorance is bliss. If I never thought about this shit again, is it really going to change whatever's going to happen? But then if every one of us thought like that, so you got to kind of struggle to keep things in perspective and have priorities. My dog's health should be more important to me than, in my opinion, than trying to get my neighbor to agree with me that Obama's a cocksucker. I mean, because what's actually got the better payoff? I think keeping Charlie alive is going to give me more happiness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's in that comment too I made to you, is like, my family's first, and I think that's my main concern.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff.
Roger that. So I agree. Ron?
Yeah. I want to kind of go off of the last topic we were talking about a little bit more. All right. I don't know if I mentioned this here or not. I've been a martial arts instructor for 6 years. I've been doing it since I was 5. I have had some huge classes. I've had students anywhere from 4 years of age to up into their 70s. And I've told them all the same thing. There are 2 things that man will shy away from, and that is fear and hard work. Everybody wants to pull the blame game and say, oh, I'm not here because so-and-so's holding me down, or so-and-so's holding me down. And I tell them, I said, well, why do you want to compete with so-and-so? Why don't you be you? Look at what we have. We have McDonald's, we have Taco Bell, we have Burger King, we have all these different burger joints and restaurants and things. If everybody was looking for the same thing, I could understand that. But there's so much variety. Now, what I teach may not be right for you or anyone else, but it may be right for 100 other people. And I tell them, it's like, okay, just because you haven't done the same arts that I have, you haven't spent the time doing what I've done, does not make you any less valuable. There are going to be people that can relate to you better than me, and that's cool. It's like I would have, when I would work the tournaments and stuff, I had a pretty good position because I was not directly with the company. I was like a private contractor, and I worked a lot of sites and classes and stuff like that. So I worked with a lot of instructors. And there was almost like a bit of an intimidation thing when I would come around, and a little bit of like a, how would I put it? Like, yeah, don't step on his toes, but we're going to be nice to him to his face kind of a thing. And I never understood that. And I would tell the other instructors that, hey, you guys are great instructors. You're teaching them this and this and this and this. That's perfect. Just because I do it this way and everybody seems to come this direction, that's okay. That's fine. Don't try to compete with me because I'm not competing with you. We're all here as brothers. We're all here as people. So that's what I see. Is I see a lot of people in today's society trying to compete with each other, trying to hold each other down, and I don't understand that. We should all be working to help each other. Now, if I'm asked, how can I make my classes more interesting? Okay, well, you asked my opinion. I'll give you my opinion. Simple as that. Whether you take it or not, that's up to you. That's your prerogative. That's not mine. It's your class.
Isn't that the way we are, though, with our, like you said, society? I mean, keeping up with the Joneses,
Right.
Everybody is in competition. You get a new car, and then neighbors start to treat you like an idiot because maybe they think you're showing off because you got a new car.
Right.
Humans, as interesting as humanity is, and I find the topic of civilization a very interesting one, outside of all of the things we've talked about. I mean, in terms of, the future of mankind and fucking nanophysics and all that shit. I find that interesting in as much as I can understand it. I read an awful lot of books about that shit. But so as enamored as I can be on the one hand with humanity, it's equally fucked up. And I use this analogy that when I talk about humans, picture the Philharmonic. You got the composer, you got the beautiful music, which is really just the vibrating airwaves, at certain fucking tempos, and they enter people's ears, and it stirs up, it releases dopamine, and next thing you know, you got people crying, tears coming out of their face, all because of what's coming out of these instruments that are being manipulated by humans, and that we're thought up, which is really just another form of mathematics. Music is, and all of this is happening in the fucking auditorium. And a mile away, the same species is molesting his little girl. I mean, that is that has always stumped me, man, that humanity is so beautiful and so fucking treacherous, man. I mean, the conductor, this is the how sick it is. The conductor himself could go home and be some molester or some fucker. I mean, it's so bizarre that humans have such a wide array of things, good and evil. Yeah, I mean, certainly in the fire department, I know you see that shit, Matt. I used to see. I mean, I would certainly know. I wasn't raised in a vacuum. I saw most of the crimes in my own house, but nevertheless, I always thought, right when I thought I couldn't be shocked. I remember one time I wasn't involved in the arrest, but there was a guy that was raping chicks and mutilating them, and not always killing them, but this is pretty gross, man, but fuck it, we're all over 10. This guy would stick his hand up the vagina with a pocket knife and hack, of women. And when they finally caught this guy, this was something that this guy had wanted posters and shit, everybody talked about him at roll call. Somebody else on another watch got him, and I came to work one day in Hollywood. Hey, man, did you hear they caught fucking, that psycho rapist mutilator guy? And I was so fucking disgusted because I knew all the details everybody's talking about in roll call. I put my gun in the locker, man, and I buzzed myself, tapped on the glass, buzzed me into the jail. And I had to go back there and with my own eyes look at this fucking dude. And I had nothing to say, but I had to see him because I couldn't believe that, I just left the house with little kids and fucking, daddy, we have new guppies in the aquarium. And then you got this guy, and we're all from the same fucking species. I don't know why it went that direction, but I mean, it's depressing and beautiful and interesting and sick. It's really weird, man. This whole thing that we call life, it's just that's a whole nother fucking episode, man. I mean, but it is just interesting, and I wonder where it's all going,
Just don't let the bad guys live in your head. Just find a way to focus on people who are doing the right things.
Yeah,
right, exactly. Yes,
He may not have time to do evil things if he's focusing on keeping everybody together and getting the wind guys to talk to the percussionist or whatever.
Yeah.
Get it all to work together, and just gotta focus on all the good stuff. It's like the Muslim community. 98% of them don't want to have anything to do with these whack jobs that are using religion as an excuse to commit serial murder. Back in the Middle East. That's, you know, yeah, there's poverty out there, but if they wanted religious freedom, they could just do it. Instead, they choose, hey, I'm going to use this excuse to pick up a gun, and don't focus on that. I mean, there's...
No, you're right, man. It took years to learn what you're saying. I mean, you know, that's why cops retire, and you need to be paying attention because the, good God, Glock, because of your career path that you're going. You know, cops typically retire and either die of a heart attack a year later or blow their brains out. And it takes work, and you have to do what he's talking about. You have to literally, and I mentioned that on one of the videos where one time I stopped at the baseball game and was watching kids play. You know, I mean, you got to put yourself in positive surroundings, or you start to literally believe that you swim in the toilet for so long that you start to think everyone's an asshole and everyone is, you know, I mean, I wouldn't even talk to non-cops for years. And then, you know, it just, thank God I got myself out of it. You know, I'll always be just a little bit, I don't want to say paranoid, but like I said before, you know, I extend the hand of friendship with my other one clutches my Glock because I don't trust people. Because people, you know, this is why I love Charlie so much. A lot of people, Mike, you tattooed your dog on your arm? You know, that's Charlie right here. You know, it's a dog. And what he taught me, man, was, you know, a human being, and I saw this too much and all of us have seen it, can look you in the eye and smile and talk beautiful to you and shake your hand and be planning your murder. You know, that, yeah. When I realized that, and I thought, because I've never been in love with dogs, but at the time of my life when he came into my life, things must have just been right, because I remember he was looking in my eyes and I was thinking, man, this guy ain't fucking, he doesn't want extra shit. He's not going to rob me. He's not jacking me around. It's all righteous. It's authentic. And, you know, I fell in love with the guy. By the way, I don't know if all of you were here when I was talking to myself, but did you guys hear the story? He caught a fish today.
No.
I heard the story, yeah.
He literally...
Like or something like that?
Yeah, he caught a fish like this, and I have it on... Yeah. I have it.
Oh, cool.
He hasn't been in the river for, you know, a couple weeks because of his surgery, so I let him go in today, and he fucking touched him, like this fish swam between his legs, and he jumps out of the water, and it was like, what the fuck? And then you see him, he's looking around, and he sticks his head in the water, and he comes out with a freaking fish and brings it to me and drops it at my feet.
Nice. Who needs a fishing pole, right?
Nobody dog catches fish. Come on, man. I'm telling you, he's reincarnated. He's a god, is what I'm trying to say.
Better than for sure.
No, man. Well, look, I don't know how long have we been talking, guys. Can we wrap it up, or what? You know, do you guys think we should do this more often, or?
Oh, hell yeah, indeed.
Yeah. And do you like this format, or should we pick a subject and stick with it, or what do you guys think?
Freestyle.
Freestyle?
Free raw.
Yeah, and maybe now that we know how to do it, let's try and think of some topics or some other people you want to invite in, and you know, like I said in the beginning or on the video, we don't have to always agree. I mean, I have to say this, and I'm not kissing ass. I don't do that, man. But I have a lot of respect for all of you guys. I mean, everybody that I'm looking at right now is really squared away, and that in itself gives me happiness, tailgating on what we were just talking about. You know, here I got 4 guys on my screen that live all over the place, but they're good people, man, and they got good brains, and they're fucking thinking positive shit. And I mean, I have to ask you too, what style of martial arts?
It's basically what it's basically kind of boiled down to now is mixed martial arts. It's much as you can get, because I started in traditional American style karate, which was a mixture of American Kempo karate, Korean Taekwondo, and Japanese Shito-ryu, which was my instructor. She was versed in that predominantly. After that, I got into judo. I rolled with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys and wrestlers. Did a little bit of catch-as-catch-can, so I know a little bit about the leg locks and some of the older, you know, like the older traditional American wrestling you used to see on TV in the 50s before it was scripted.
Now, are you a fan of like the you know, the Ultimate Fights and shit?
I used to be. Not so much anymore because I don't like the direction it's going. That's just me personally. But I've done a lot of different arts. I've done Kung Fu, which would be Arky Wong's 5 Families and 5 Animals system. with my Sifu. I've even traded with various martial artists. I've done a little bit of boxing. And I mean, when you take and strip down karate, it's basically kickboxing, so I've done that. I mean, there's really not a whole lot I don't understand about martial arts. I do a lot of studying, a lot of self-study as well. I read a lot, watch a lot of videos. I practice a ton. And I'm a very progressive thinker. I always try to think of and keep up on what's coming out. Now, for instance, there's certain arts that are being portrayed like in the UFC now, and a lot of things like capoeira. And I remember watching that 6 or 7 years ago being performed in a school right down the street from my judo class. I mean, I've always been years ahead and keep on what's the new thing. I mean, so there's really not a lot that I see coming out that surprises me, but the thing that I do not like with like the Ultimate Fighter is they're taking a format of basically going big business, corporate, whatever's going to sell the most, whatever's going to put asses in seats, they'll do. So I see a lot of disrespect, I see a lot of hate, and I see competition that's gone from healthy competition like, hey, I know you, you know me, we're different styles, let's square up, let's see who the best is, to, I fucking hate that guy, I'm going to rip his head off, I'm going to kick his back door in and, slap his kids around. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Yeah, that's not what martial arts is about.
Yeah, it was bound to go that way when I think Dana, what's his last name?
Dana White, yes.
Yeah, he took it into a bit, and kudos to him, because he certainly
capitalized.
Right. From a business standpoint, he's done it right. But right. I remember when all that shit just started, and I had all the VHSs. John McCarthy was a partner of mine in Hollywood.
You worked with Big John McCarthy.
Oh my God, yeah.
I love that guy.
John, if you see this, how you doing? Big John. We worked in the same unit in Hollywood division, and my kids went to school with his kids.
Wow.
Yeah, he is and it's funny that we talk about him, because like yourself, and I also had a neighbor, a really good friend of mine who was in, and I know nothing about martial arts, but he was into something called Red Dragon, and he was like an instructor, had his own dojo. Every single person I've ever met that is disciplined, and let's face it, man, that's about as disciplined as you can get to go through all that.
Yeah.
Is always the calmest, coolest dude on look at Ron, how he is. You remind me, Big John. Let me tell you something, man. I have never, and I've been on the streets with him, I've never seen that dude get upset. Now, you guys know me well enough to know that I'm like, I would go up and what the fuck, I fucking kill everybody in this neighborhood. Oh, sir, would you like to get in the car? I'm like a psycho. but no matter what was happening, John was just fucking cool, just like yourself. I mean, so I have a lot of respect for guys that are disciplined in anything, whether they're a musician, I mean, anything that takes that kind of dedication.
Right.
It's just, I've always envied it, I mean, that's, for take it for what it's worth. I think it's really cool.
I want to go off of that. That's interesting. Because a lot of the martial artists I've met are very calm and cool and disciplined as well. And you know where that comes from? I can tell you why they're so calm and disciplined. Because, depending on what their style was, or who their instructor was, their training, what they went through to, reach the level they have, they know that there's not going to be a whole lot thrown at them that's going to be any worse than what they've been through in training.
That makes
I mean, I remember when I was in judo, man, because you got to remember, I was a striker, so I'm used to standing up, throwing punches, kicks, elbows, knees, the whole thing. And now I'm having to get grabbed on and, tossed. I mean, gravity. You can't fight gravity in that aspect. And, man, I got put through beating after beating after beating. I got wrenched. I got choked out. I got this locked up, that locked up, got slammed on my head. I mean, and just going through all the different systems I have and what they had to offer.
My mom.
Right, yeah, right, exactly.
It was me getting in trouble. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Get back in the kitchen.
Yeah. No, but that makes great sense though, man. Because what a great thing. Because if you think about it, and I mean, I'm admitting I'm falling on my sword again. I mean, when you explode verbally and everything, what is that really boiling down to? It's like a lizard puffing up with all those colors and shit.
It just shows that you're afraid.
Yeah, it's fear, and you're trying
adrenaline.
To overcompensate for maybe lack of knowledge or lack of confidence. And when you're confident and you've experienced it so many times, that makes perfect sense, man. What could you possibly be afraid of?
Right. I mean, for instance, I mean, if I'm on the street, because everything I do is geared towards street because of where I grew up. I grew up in Northtown, Long Beach, one of the only white boys on the block. I mean, I didn't fight for trophies. I was never a competitor. I didn't get into it. I didn't fight for trophies or medals because I had to fight in my own neighborhood to, you know, basically get the respect that I needed to be able to walk down the street without getting hassled.
Right.
So for me, everything I gear myself towards is street. So there's nothing that's off limits, and I expect anything and everything. That could be a gun, it could be a stick, a knife. That's why I don't do a lot of, I don't, you know, play with the nunchucks, and I don't do all the traditional, you know, karate weapons, because you don't see those on the street. You see stick, knife, baseball bat, broken bottles, guns. So everything I do is oriented towards that. And I always realize this. This is the first thing you have to realize when you're in a situation and somebody's, you know, what's up, homie, what you gonna do? You wanna fucking throw down? First thing you want to do is realize, okay, I'm standing here, he's over there. In order for him to hurt me, he's got to move to me. If he wants to hit me upside the head with his fist, he has to move to me to hit me, which allows me to intercept him. That allows me to say, okay, well, go ahead, make your move. Make your move. And then when he does, you can intercept him, you know, step off the angle, block, strike, you know, headbutt, whatever you want to do, take him down, sweep his legs out from under him. It's always the guy that strikes first towards a trained martial artist who's probably going to lose, because I know what you're doing. It's like, okay, you're probably going to come with that overhand right. Everyone wants to throw that overhand, you know, haymaker. I know what's coming. Block it, step off the angle, strike, grab, take down, and then from there on there, I control that arena. It's now mine. I have the rhythm going now.
Now, is it fair to assume that if you know a guy has a firearm, that you're going to want to close distance so that you can at least get to him, right? I mean, I would think.
Here's the thing, and this is what I tell students. Okay, if they have a knife or a firearm, you know, I tell them this. A knife far away is you're pretty much safe. If he's standing far away from you, you have time to react. If he's going to come at you, try to stab you, have time to react to go ahead and get him. So it's safer at distance. A gun at distance is not safe,
right?
Because you're at their mercy. I mean, your hands are up. If you try to rush them, what are you going to get? You're going to get double tapped. You know, you're down. There's no really getting around that. If you're close, and I always tell students this, don't try to fucking Steven Seagal it and think, you know, that you're going to do it just like in the movies. If you have the opportunity and there's no one around that's going to get hit because you grabbed their weapon and you're now trying to disarm them, you need to realize who's around you, where you are, how close that weapon is to you. Now, if that guy has a gun pointed to my head, I realize all I need to do is pull my head out of the line of fire as I grab his weapon.
Right.
You know, and it's very little movement. It's very fast. It's here and then here. It's that fast. You know, if it's right in my face, all I know if I'm standing right there and that gun is in my face, if I can reach it, simultaneously, I need to be able to grab that weapon and step off the line. So if he does fire, it's going to go here. Yeah. That's good. That bullet goes here. There's nobody behind me. I realize that. Maybe there's, you know, some trees or some woods or a block wall that it's not going to penetrate. I can then start working towards, you know, disarming, you know, the attacker. But if I'm standing at distance, he says, "Give me your wallet," I'll make him get closer to get it.
Right.
I'll take the wallet out and I'll drop it in front of me.
Yeah, and I always say, man, I would never do a gun takeaway. I don't have the skills that you have, but I definitely would never make a move until he was in the middle of a sentence. I'd get him to say something so I could get that lag time on my side. You know,
right.
Get the lag time in his head. You know, shut the fuck up or whatever he says.
Another good thing to remember, and Glock, something you might want to remember as well, if you ever have a gun pointed at you, you're maybe held up. This is a really good way of doing it. Appear weak when strong. Okay, so you may have some skills, you know, the academy I'm sure will teach you stuff, and there's probably guys in the department that know something. By the way, if they do, and they offer, hey, come check out this class, come train with me, do it. Please do it.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, please do, I'm just trying to go home, I don't really have any money, blah, blah, blah. It's like, please do, I don't want, and you got it. I mean, it just goes from A to B.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's the way I always dealt with stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, our SWAT guys used to teach, some of the guys in SWAT would come around and teach the weapon retention and gun takeaways.
Right.
And they've done a lot of studies. Yeah, I can't remember if it was the FBI or somebody, but dealing with lag time. And I used to teach it, and I would, you know, use like a cap gun, a toy cap gun.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
And then there's never, you always, as long as they're saying something, you can always beat them to that fucking weapon before they can pull that trigger.
Because their mind is somewhere else. It's not thinking
shift
about
from
pulling the
making a
trigger.
sentence to pulling the trigger faster than you can get that weapon.
Right. You know, and this is interesting. I don't know. Have you ever heard of Platt Security, Mike?
What's the name of it?
Platt Security out of Long Beach.
I have not.
Okay. They're a big security company, you know, basically in Long Beach. And my dad worked for them back in the 80s, years after he retired from being LBPD. He was reserve.
Okay.
Back in like the middle 60s to the early 70s, he was LBPD reserve. And he went to work for Platt, you know, much, much later. During the 80s, like the Olympic thing you were mentioning, back in the day, he worked the Olympics.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was there. He actually worked the Olympics. I even have the little pin that has the torch on it, the Platt pin with the torch.
Yeah, I've got one right over here on a board.
Yeah. And it was interesting. My friend that I've known since kindergarten, he went to work for Platt, and he was really, really worried about gun retention. And I said, okay, you know, you wear your, you know, firearm on your right hip. Yeah, correct. You know, so I said, all right, let me go ahead and take an airsoft gun that I have, and I'll put it in a holster, and I'll put it on my hip. All right, I said, now if I was talking to you, and you're the bad guy, and I'm the officer here, go ahead and try to take my gun. He goes to reach for my gun. He ended up on his face on the floor, and the reason being is because all I had to do was simply turn. He's reaching towards my right side. He's now going in a direction. All I had to do was take my right leg and step it back and go with him.
Yes.
Boom, he's on the ground, and I've got his arm up behind his back. I was like, go ahead and resist some more. You're going to get an elbow right in the back of your neck.
Yeah. No, that's, God, you're bringing back memories. That's just, I love that kind of stuff. That's just good skills, man.
It is. You know, and I always, you know, the reason I love martial arts is because it can relate to just about anything in the world. Versus, you know, it can come from hard work or that time where you're like, oh my God, I don't feel like I can go on. And then you remember, what about that one time I was getting, you know, the living shit kicked out of me, and I just thought I couldn't go on, but somehow I just managed to hang through it. I hung through it. You
know what, man? That story I told on one of those cop stories, I think I told it, was when I talked about falling back. You know, I wear my jump wings on my wrist. I mean, I use that kind of thing. And all of us can use something we've survived. And
right. Yes, I know the video you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sitting there getting ready to die, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, I wonder if it's going to hurt. And I'm like, wait a minute, man, I'm a fucking paratrooper. Nobody's killing me. And, you know, I use that, and whatever works, man. I mean, that, and it's the same with going through a divorce. I used it. It was the same with getting a house repossessed. I'm like, Mike, calm down, man. You're airborne. Just move and shoot, figuratively. Yeah.
Right.
So it's good to have something to lean on that can pull you through, you know.
Exactly. You know, I can think back to, you know, I remember the first time I got into a fight. The reason I started martial arts was I went to Bret Hart Elementary School. And I was in kindergarten, and our bathrooms for the kindergarten section were closed off. So I had to go to use the bigger kids' restroom. So I'm in the, you know, up against the urinals, like the, you know, the really tall ones that are built into the wall. And I get pinned. Somebody actually like pins me up against there and like, you know, hits me a few times. I didn't know how to fight at that point. I'm pretty young. I was, you know, 5 years old. And I saw a flyer for martial arts. I wanted to do it. I wanted to learn how to protect myself, and I did. First fight I got into, I had just turned into a yellow belt. I went from white belt to yellow belt, so about 3-4 months or so. And I'm on my lawn, and I get surrounded by a bunch of older black kids. And they pushed the younger one in the middle with me. And I'm on my front lawn at my house, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, there's like 7 or 8 of them. They're all bigger than me except the one in the middle that I'm facing. I'm screwed. I'm going to probably get the living shit kicked out of me, maybe die. Only thing I thought was, okay, hands up, let's go. That kid came, he threw a punch, I got blocked, struck him, he went right down, and everybody scattered. By the time it was over, I didn't even realize what had happened.
Wow. Yeah.
They all scattered. They just left him right there on my front lawn, just, you know, on the floor, on the ground.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but that little kid was me. This is your life. We're part of a show where we bring victims together.
Hey, well, you had one hell of a tan then.
All my freckles were connected.
Right, exactly.
Wow. Oh, that is interesting. My ass is completely asleep.
So I keep shifting around.
Yeah, I'm sitting around going, well, it's actually because I don't have an ass. I'm sitting on my spine.
Right.
No ass at all problem. But guys, shit, man, I've really enjoyed myself, man.
Me too.
Really good stuff. Hopefully I didn't dominate I don't think I did, but if I did, just tell me to shut up, man. It's not a problem at all. And let's do this again, man. Let's try to fill it up. I don't even know what the limit is. How many people we can have? Does anybody know?
Yeah.
I don't.
That would be kind of neat to have a full house, man.
Right, yeah.
So what I'll do is, what do you guys think, man? Should I wait a week or 2 weeks? What do you think?
Whatever you want to do it.
Well, I'm terrible at making these decisions for the gang, man. I feel terrible. What do you guys? Somebody throw it out. What is a week too soon, or should I use a week to build it up and then do it in 2 weeks?
How about in 2 weeks?
Okay, and is a Sunday good?
Usually. Sometimes I end up working on weekends.
All right, so I'll pick a Sunday in 2 weeks, and then I'll start talking about it and sending messages and shit and try to build it up. All right?
Yeah, indeed.
Good.
I'm listening to Michael Savage and reading Drudge Report so I can keep up with.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I tell you what, man. I've never read believe it or not, I've never read the Drudge Report, but I do listen to Savage. I think Savage is going to go mentally ill and blow his brains out on the air. I mean, he is really pissed off. When he starts yelling, man, I'm thinking, God damn, man, he makes me look like a Buddhist monk.
But yeah, we'll let the news build and we'll see each other in 2 weeks.
All right, man. Matt,
Yeah,
be careful out there, man.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right, guys. You guys stay safe.
All right. Thanks
All
for
right.
your time.
Take care.